An ambient listening device or virtual scribe is part of electronic health record technology, or EHR, that is being used by providers, physicians, and hospitals to record the conversation between a patient and a provider, develop a transcript that is then reviewed and edited by the provider and becomes part of the patient's permanent medical record. Most EHR systems have an ambient listening or virtual scribe option, and it's being used more and more by providers. The intent is that the provider would review the transcript, make any edits, and then approve it, and it would then become part of the permanent medical record for the patient. Most patients are given the option to either consent to the use of ambient listening technology or decline it for their visit with the provider. There have been a number of studies and surveys related to the use of ambient listening devices. Providers report positive experiences with the use of the technology because they can spend more time discussing the patient's condition and engaging with the patient and less time staring at the computer screen and entering notes into the electronic health record. Providers also report less pajama time. Pajama time is the term used to describe the time that providers have to spend outside of their regular workday entering medical records in the electronic health record. Overall, experts predict that these are positive factors that should lead to less provider burnout over time. Likewise, patients report positive experiences. They believe that they are more engaged with their provider when an ambient listening device is being used, that the provider is paying more attention to what the patient has to say, and that the patient is more involved in the care and treatment decisions. Federal and state law require that providers maintain an accurate and complete medical record. One potential risk of using an ambient listening device are errors that may occur in the transcription that are not caught by the physician or provider when they review and approve the transcription to become part of the patient's permanent medical record. An example might be that a physician tells the patient during a visit that they're going to prescribe 0.5 milligrams of a drug. The listening device may transcribe that incorrectly to be 5 milligrams. If the physician does not catch that error before it's filled by the patient in a prescription, this could lead to harm to the patient and liability for the physician. Two phenomena involved here. One is called hallucinations, which is the AI term for incorrect text. So when the AI technology actually invents text, something that was not actually said in the conversation. The second issue is automation bias, and that's a provider's preference to rely on what the transcription provides, even if there's errors in it. And so when a provider reviews the transcript, it's vitally important that they carefully review everything that's part of the transcript before approving it to become part of the medical record, so there's not that risk to the provider and to the patient. There can be risk from a medical malpractice perspective. In Oklahoma, medical records must be maintained for a period of 6 years. Defense counsel advised that the medical record should be unchanged and there should only be one medical record. When the ambient listening device records the conversation in an audio recording and then that's transcribed, this is essentially a dual medical record, meaning that there's the medical record, the permanent medical record, and for some period of time, there's another portion of the medical record that may or may not become part of the permanent medical record. So there's a risk that a plaintiff's lawyer would claim that when records are produced in a lawsuit, that the complete medical record has not been produced, and that there's been spoliation of evidence, meaning that the hospital, the physician group, the provider has deleted or destroyed evidence that's necessary for the lawsuit. The bottom line is that ambient listening device technology is a tool. It can be a helpful tool both from the provider's perspective and a positive patient experience. However, it doesn't absolve the provider of the obligation to carefully review and edit the transcript before it becomes part of the medical record. One recommendation is that providers should adopt a comprehensive policy addressing the use of AI ambient technology as part of a patient visit and their obligations to carefully review the documentation before it becomes part of the medical record. The policy should also state that the audio recording and the transcript is not part of the legal medical record. That is just transitory communications in draft form and is not intended to be the permanent medical record. Additionally, the policy should provide that physicians and other practitioners will be educated regarding the use of AI technology and the need to carefully review documentation before it's uploaded in the patient's medical record. In order to be of any benefit, a provider must adopt and implement the AI ambient use technology policy before litigation is commenced. We've advised a number of clients regarding the use of ambient technology. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at McAfee & Taft.